All right, so what are the updated running back my guys for 2023 fantasy football? This is the Fantasy Sports Boss. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, also the notification button and the like button if you're new to the channel. So it's been about a month since I did my initial my guys video on the running back position for 2023 fantasy football. I wanted to update things because there's been a lot of changes going on. We went through the whole Saquon Barkley, and we're still going through the Josh Jacobs contract situation. Jonathan Taylor's on PUP. There's just a lot of issues going on there. So in terms of my guys, so right off the bat, you all know I'm not taking a running back in round one. So that eliminates Christian McCaffrey, that eliminates Austin Eckler, eliminates Saquon Barkley. It'll eliminate Bijan Robinson, who I actually do really like. And then it probably will eliminate Jonathan Taylor, who I wasn't going to take anyway. So really, the second round is the first occasion of the draft, especially if I'd get a wide receiver in round one, that I would look to take a running back. Now, in terms of what running backs are my guys that I'm going to be looking at, right off the bat, I have to include Breece Hall. So I really like Breece Hall. I know he's coming off the torn ACL, had some meniscus damage, but it looks like he ran 23 miles per hour on the field the other day. He looks like he's pretty much ready to go. Now, me saying Breece Hall is as long as the Jets don't sign Ezekiel Elliott or they don't sign Dalvin Cook, and they're still involved with Dalvin Cook from what I understand. And so that's contingent upon that. However, late second round, early third, where Breece Hall is still sitting, I will take him because the upside is that big. So if there's no Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall can be an absolute running back one, both catching and running the football. So since I go value at running back, or at least I wait a round or two, Breece Hall would probably be the best option left on the table at that point when I start looking at running backs. I don't think Tony Pollard will be there, although I like Tony Pollard. Hall would be the guy. All right, next on my list, Rhamondre Stevenson. So there's rumors about Leonard Fournette going there. I'm not worried about Darrell Henderson if he ends up there. Both guys worked out for the Patriots last week. Love Rhamondre Stevenson. An insane 88 targets last year, 67 receptions, average 5 a carry. He did it all. The only issue he had was only 5 touchdowns on the ground. Struggled around the goal line, had some fumbles, so those do need to be cleaned up, and maybe that's why they're looking at Fournette for possible goal line duty, which wouldn't be good. But I really like Rhamondre Stevenson, who is still sitting there in the beginning of the third round, which, even if Fournette is there, I would absolutely take him at the beginning of the third round. I just think he's that good, and he is what the pure definition of what a PPR running back is. All right, next on my list, and this is in no particular order. So I'm still Aaron Jones. I mean, listen, I love Aaron Jones. 5.3 a carry last year, 4.7 the year before, 5.5 the year before that. His receptions the last 3 seasons, 47, 52, 59. All right, now I know A.J. Dillon's going to be the primary runner around the goal line, so the rushing touchdowns may not be there as much as in the past, but Jones is going to feast. I mean, they're going to run the ball a lot. He's going to be used heavily. He's still on top of his game at 28 years old. Doesn't have the mileage on him that a lot of backs his age would have because he's been in a part-time role the last couple of years. But I love Aaron Jones' 4th round ADP. I'll go right back to the well with him like I seem to have him every year. All right. Miles Sanders. Love Miles Sanders. They gave him all that money for a reason, $6 million a year. The Panthers are going to run the football as they work in Bryce Young. He had a bunch of receptions right out of the gate as a rookie with the Eagles. They did not use him much in that side of things because they had a running quarterback, the last couple of years. But he's capable. And as far as rushing yards, the last 3 seasons averaged 5.3, 5.5, and 4.9 a carry. Those are tremendous numbers. Now, I know that it's a little bit of a wavelength situation with Sanders has an excellent game, then has a dud, and he seems to go back and forth with that. But he's going to get a lot of work, and the numbers are going to be there at the end. I really think Miles Sanders is severely underrated as a third, even a 4th round, especially a 4th round pick this season. All right, Jahmyr Gibbs. I got to get my hands on Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, you're going to say, okay, you want to build your team with touchdowns. Gibbs is probably not going to have a lot because David Montgomery is going to take the goal line duties. Yes, true in the touchdown sense, but I think Gibbs is going to be used heavily. He's going to make a run at 60 receptions. He's going to have over 500 rushing yards. And altogether with the receptions and on the ground, he probably will have 7 to 9 touchdowns. So I would love to have him in the 4th round. 3rd round might be a little pricey for me because of the touchdown aspect of things, but I'm a real big fan of Jahmyr Gibbs. All right, Travis Etienne. So I've kind of gone back and forth with Etienne. So the positives. He averaged 5.1 a carry last year, 5 touchdowns on the ground, an explosive runner. There's no doubt about it. He 1,100 yards from scrimmage. ETN is an explosive runner. However, not used much in the passing game, and he was at Clemson. Not sure why. They brought in Tank Bigsby, who could siphon off the goal line carries. Doug Peterson is a guy who wants multiple backs. So these are all, and ETN is not the most durable guy as well. So these are all issues that have me a little leery of ETN now at the beginning of the third round. Kind of neutral on him right now, but I think I'm going to come back to him ultimately. All right, J.K. Dobbins. So J.K. Dobbins is a guy I've hated on in the past. However, I love the new offense with Todd Monken because they're going to throw it to running backs. Now, you could say Lamar Jackson, he's not going to throw a lot to the running backs, but they don't want him to run as much this year, so he will be more apt to dump it off. Dobbins caught passes in college. His is not something that he can't do. And he's an explosive runner. 5.7 a carry last year, 6 in 2020. So the running aspect of things are going to be tremendous. He was a huge league-winning asset down the stretch last season, so I think he's going to be really, really good this season. All right, Dameon Pierce, if the price is right, I still like Dameon Pierce, although I don't like this Devin Singletary arrival. I think it's going to eat into his carries quite a bit. James Conner. So James Conner, without Kyler Murray, absolutely goes ballistic. He has done that in the past. Listen, you got to bake in 2 to 3 games missed to injury. That's just the deal with James Conner. He's 28. He's aging a little bit. Not the most explosive runner. There's no doubt about it. But he's going to get a major workload. 46 catches last season. Going to be used both in the running and the receiving game. So Connor's going to get numbers. So that's why you have to, you always want to get backs who are going to get the majority of their carries. And Connor's going to be that guy. And you can get him in the 6th or the 7th round. All right, next, Alvin Kamara. So Alvin Kamara is now on my list. He wasn't on my list earlier. That's because I think he's only going to get a 2-game suspension ultimately now that he pled down to a misdemeanor. I think the arrival of Jamal Williams is a good thing, not a bad thing, because it'll keep Kamara a little bit more fresh and they could use him more in the passing game. And that's really where he's going to make hay there. And he's still a fairly explosive runner. And I think he's going to be really, he could have a good bounce back campaign on a per game basis this season. All right, David Montgomery. He's going in the 8th and even the 9th round, which is ridiculous. Jamal Williams, 17 touchdowns on the ground last season. Montgomery's going to handle the goal line duties behind a tremendous, maybe the best offensive line in football. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's going to eat into his carries and his touches, no doubt about it. But David Montgomery was not signed to a 3-year deal just to sit on the bench. And I think he's a good value if you're looking for touchdowns from your running back too. All right, DeAndre Swift. So I've kind of come around on him as well. So last 3 years, 46, 62, and 48 catches. And last year, 14 games, 48 catches on a team that really didn't even want to use him. They soured on him. Now in Philadelphia, I really like DeAndre Swift this season. I think he's going to, and he's coming really, really cheap, too cheap, in my opinion. All right, Rachaad White, another guy like James Conner who's dropping in drafts, and even Miles Sanders, who's going to get the majority of carries. And that's why this year there's no dead zone at running back. You can get all these guys that I just mentioned in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th round, and even the 8th round, talking about David Montgomery. Rachaad White, 50 catches easy, 800 plus rushing yards, 5 to 7 touchdowns. That's perfectly fine for your running back too. Antonio Gibson, I do like him. I'm curious to see what he does with Eric Bieniemy, but we know he can catch the football. So I think that Antonio Gibson, for me, if you really wait on your second running back, I think he's a solid option in PPR leagues. He's going to catch 40-plus passes, and I think they might use him more than you think. All right, so there you have it. Those are my guys right now at running back. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. Tomorrow, Thursday, I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow. Also another podcast, so look for that. We'll chat soon.